Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Colorado Rockies. My name is Alex Murray, also known as AZ Axel. I'll be your host for this afternoon as you watch episode 11 of the Colorado Rockies playthrough. It has been a very interesting season so far, mostly positives. I want to start off by saying that we've had a mostly positive season. As you can see, we are in first place, tied for first place with the San Diego Padres with 53 wins and 38 losses. It has been a good season for the team. Now, there have been some struggles. There's been some problems. If I hover over our team, you guys can see we're 8th in runs, 16th in ERA, 2nd in strikeouts, 2nd in batting average, 10th in defensive efficiency. So we're not doing terrible, but it hasn't quite gone the way I expected it to. We've had some really good results from certain players. I want to highlight those really fast. I also want to highlight some stuff actually before we begin. Let's actually just go ahead and start about our recap of the season at this point, because we have a lot of stuff that's happened. Condona's had an off and on season. He's at 17 home runs right now. He's projected to finish the season with a 30-30 season, 30 doubles, 30 home runs. That's not bad, but it's not great. So it's a bad, sophomore slump for Charlie Condon. We're hoping that he will do better in the second half of the season, kind of bring that back up, get the batting average back up to 300, finish the season with hopefully more of like a 3 WAR season, not a 2 WAR season. We were able to get the player draft pool revealed for the first year player draft. That included some other people, but of course, John Marin is still by far, in my opinion, the best draft pick in this draft. And as you guys can see, he went second. So we'll talk about who went first in a little bit of time here. We've had some lesser happy developments, unfortunately. We've had some really good stuff happen over the course of the regular season, but we've had some pretty bad developments for some of our prospects, and I'm going to show you guys all of those results as we get around. Probably at the end of the video, we'll talk about our prospects, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So Nelson Rada has been a breath of fresh air. The dude is batting 291, 23 stolen bases, a 3.3 WAR for a rookie. He's expected to have a 50 doubles, 23 home run season with 41 stolen bases. This is a kid that's got to go places. He's really good, and he's been a very good right fielder for us, and we're so happy to have him. We're probably going to have back-to-back Rookie of the Years with Condon and now Rada. So that's been a very good spot of the season. He's been one of the brighter spots at this point. We did pick up some more prospects over the course of the regular season so far. Angel Hernandez being one of them. He's actually not that great, but little bit of a chance that he might develop into something a bit more, maybe a corner outfielder at this point. We were able to get some really good results from Riley Green at the beginning of the season. He actually got Player of the Month, I believe, Player of the Week, and then he got Player of the month. Yeah, here it was back in, what was this, June? I think it was his May and June were amazing. But as you can see, he tore his groin. So he played 58 games, was batting 369, a 3.8 WAR season in 58 games, 15 home runs, 16 stolen bases, and then proceeded to tear his groin. And he's been on the IL for about, I think it's been about 2 months now at this point. So it just feels like that's always what happens in OOTP. You get someone who's doing really, really well, like having a career season. OOTP is telling you he's going to be batting like a 10 WAR season, and they get injured. That's just what happens, unfortunately. So Riley Green, injured for the first season here. We're hoping to have him back before playoffs begin. We're on July 11th of the regular season right now, and he's got about 2 months left before he's back. So unfortunately, it was about a 3 months. It was about a 3 month recovery time, I believe. He's been down for about a month. He's got 25 days left on the injured list, so it's been about 35 days at this point. So hopefully he's back before playoffs begin. Hopefully he doesn't relapse. I'm going to knock on some wood at the end of this video here just to make sure about that. But hopefully he doesn't have a rehab problem. He's back with us. He'll be able to help us in the playoff push that we need, because we are going to be in playoffs. We are definitely one of the better teams in baseball. Bobby Witt Jr. also had a bit of an injury, as did Tovar. And then Giolito went down for about 6 weeks. He was having a phenomenal season. He is just about to come back right now. He was actually on pace for like a 5 WAR season. He was probably our best pitcher at some points during the regular season so far. He's had a 3.03 ERA. He's 5-2, 2.0 WAR with 12 games started at this point. So he's been doing really well. He's been a bright spot. But really, Riley Green has been just the best bright spot of the team, and he is unfortunately, again, down with injury. in regards to stuff, we have kept Gabe Kapler as our manager. He is now officially into the good reputation at this point. He's doing really, really well. He won Manager of the Year in 2021 for the Giants. I expect him to win Manager of the Year this year for the Rockies. If we make it into playoffs, he should easily get that, unless we just bomb in playoffs and nothing else happens. But otherwise, the owner is happy with our goals at this point. He thinks that we're doing a really good job. I mean, we're hitting most of his goals and superseding most of them as well. We did get an update about the prospects list at this point. We still have Larry Kunkel in the number one spot, and that is our brightest prospect. He is now officially 2.5 stars out of 5. If we get Kunkel to be this good in the big leagues, ladies and gentlemen, this is like borderline elite starting pitching at this point. The stamina is still a bit of an issue, and we're trying to work on that right now. But he has been dominant in almost every single league he's been in, and he's in AAA right now with Fiend, our other pitching prospect. They're both manning AAA, and AAA has been doing really good. He is still the number one prospect in baseball at this point. Our system, however, is still second. Fiend has been dropped down to 25th. Quentin Young is now 34th. Cancel is 37th, and Dominguez is 58th. So we have some issues. We got to work through some of these. Fiend has really dropped down in his development. Unfortunately, he's just not getting any of that. I'm just gonna call it he hasn't been lucky. He still is doing really well, but I don't know if we just pushed him too hard or if we just aren't getting good reads on his development or he's just not developing well. He's just having some struggles and it's becoming a bit of an issue. He's down to now 3-star prospect potential. Still quality pitcher for the big leagues, but barely better than the people we have right now. So that's not a good sign. Quentin Young has started to drop as well, unfortunately. He's probably now officially resorted to being a third baseman for life. The bat's just not quite clicking. Now, he's doing well in rookie ball. He's been moved up to A-plus ball. We'll see how he responds to that. Maybe we'll get a little bit of these ratings back up once we get to the end of the year. I have recognized that sometimes OOTP has like valleys and peaks when it comes to your prospects. There are certain stages during the season where they're going to have like their ultimate high peak, and that usually tends to be opening day through spring training and a little bit of the offseason. And then during the season, a lot of prospects kind of come back down to earth. As I say that in quotation marks, you guys can't see. But basically, I think the regular season usually ends up resulting in your prospects not doing well unless they are just having like career seasons, which we actually have someone who's having a career season right now. If I go to our player development, I can find them really fast here. Let me see if I can locate them. We've had a couple people who have been given some really good season results so far. I think one of them was, yeah, Micah Matthews here. Micah Matthews has been having a phenomenal season in rookie and A ball this year, batting 364 in the rookie system and now 291 in A ball. He is now up to A plus. So this is somebody who, because of how well their season is going, I would anticipate that as you can see, so the overall is going up. The potential is not quite going up yet, but I would expect that because of how well the season has gone, not because of the stats, but just because of how well the game has been pushing him for results, I am going to anticipate that unless we just had him on like a really bad level, he should be getting a little bit more of his potential back by the end of the regular season when we finally do our end of season evaluation. Certain players, you kind of get a feel that they're just like excelling, like extremely excelling at their position during the course of the regular season. So sometimes I get that feeling, sometimes I don't. It just depends kind of on how things are going. So, but Cancel, unfortunately, is down to 3.5 stars. It's actually better than I expected, but he is fragile because of the 2 back-to-back seasons of injuries. He's now having his first full season in baseball at this point. He's doing okay in single A. I hope that he can be able to work on that stamina, get a lot of these numbers hit for his potential, and then 3.5 stars would still be a respectable starter in the big leagues. Richard Dominguez has unfortunately dropped down to a 3-star. This is going to be the one that hurts the most because he had so much potential, and if him and Kunkel had both developed to their utmost ability, we would have had a wonderful 1-2 combination. So unfortunately, we're not quite getting the development we wanted out of Dominguez. He's still doing okay. Like, I would still use this, and I would still actually use this if not even for a starter, but for like a closer situation. This is actually a really good closer type pitcher if you really don't like the low control or if the stamina starts to drop exceedingly quickly. He still has got some really good stuff, good movement. If we can work on that control, get that back up, he could still become probably a 3.5 star pitcher. He could probably still get back to that point, but it is a bit of a little bit of a downer to see the kind of results that we're getting out of our top tier prospects. But then again, that's what happens. People are going to start to get, back down to earth as they get closer and closer to the big leagues. So, it's what happens. It really is. It's what happens in the big leagues, and it just is a part of life for a lot of these prospects. Otherwise, we've had some pretty good results from certain players. Sonny Gray pitched a 9-0 shutout against the Detroit Tigers. That was actually quite recent. But we've also had some very disappointing off-season or out of the off-field issues. Dollander, I don't know what happened here. He broke a bone in his elbow getting into a fight at a Little League game. So the 26-year-old, I guess, has a kid in Little League, or maybe it was a cousin or something. But I guess during a day not on the field, he decided to go ahead and get into a fight, and he broke something in his elbow, and he's out for the entire season basically. So he was having a phenomenal season, was expected to probably do his better season than last year, and he's not going to be here now. So unfortunately, we lost one of our back end of the rotation starting pitchers. The good news, I guess, is that we haven't had any injuries per se with who would be that would be a Gray or Bieber. They've both actually been here for most of the regular season. I think Gray came back from injury during spring training, and then I'm pretty sure Bieber's been here the entire season. Yeah, 17 starts. He's expected to do 30 by the end of the regular season, even though he is wrecked, and technically so is Sonny Gray. So both of our wrecked starting pitchers are at least doing a good enough job to stay in the rotation for now. And we do have, of course, Giolito coming back from the injured list here pretty soon, so I'm still pretty happy about that. But again, you got Dollander, Giolito, and Green on the injured list right now. Green's not going to be back for 2 months, 6 months for Dollander. He's out for the season, and then of course Giolito in 2 days. So it's been an interesting season. I want to say that it's been really, really good, but then there's part of me that's like, this is what the season feels like. Bobby Witt Jr. has, he's on pace for a 30, 25, 27 season, batting 303. That's acceptable. He's got some really good speed. He's just not stealing as much as I'd like to see him steal. I don't think he's been playing third base to the best of his ability. I think I'd like to see more out of that. And that just kind of results in a mediocre 2.6 bar season so far, expected to hit maybe 5 by the end of the regular season. And that just feels like the Rockies so far this year. Like, I put the cards in place. I really liked it. A lot of it could have gone right, and it just hasn't quite gone out the way I wanted it to. Like, the season has been mostly positive. We've won 53 games. We win ball games, but it feels like I'm pulling teeth trying to make this team work. Tovar's not having a good season. Like, he's really not having a good season. Amador is not having a good season. I mean, Condone's having a rough season. And because of that, we actually just made 2 trades at the first year player draft. So we literally went through, we did our first year player draft, and then we made 2 deals, one of which was picking up Ketel Marte from the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's going to be our new designated hitter. We ended up giving them a bunch of quad A players, Luis Robert Jr., Zach Thompson, Bradley Blaylock, Julio Carreras, Cole Carrig, Gilberto Jimenez, Zach Evans, and Yon Medina were the ones involved in that trade. So basically, nobody important. I don't even think there's anybody on this list who could be considered a prospect at this point. All of them are like quad A players. They're probably never going to amount to anything. And I really don't see an issue with any of these people being given away for 1 year of Ketel Marte. He's on a $13 million end of his, 7-year contract with the D-backs. So we pick him up. He was having a respectable season with the D-backs, and I'm hoping that he can kind of get us jump started in the second half as a DH/utility player. We also did a second trade with the Diamondbacks, actually. We kind of recognized that we needed some extra bullpen help. So we traded away for Justin Martinez, who is a 3.5-star setup/closer type player. We also asked for $30 million in cash because we literally had no money at that moment. and the D-backs had like $80 million in extra budget space because they're, I think, rebuilding right now. Yeah, I think they're rebuilding right now. So we sent them Juan Flores, who was one of our better catching prospects, but we also have some catching prospects that we've been acquiring over the last couple of seasons. And we got him, I believe, from the Angels in one of our trades. Yes, that was the Nelson Rada trade. So unfortunately, we won't be able to see Juan Flores come up through the system, but I'm still very hopeful that we have plenty of catching prospects to replace him with. And we have Drew Romo signed long term. It's not like as if we are desperately looking for a starting catcher. We're kind of looking for backups right now. We sent them Cutter Crawford as well in this deal. Nicholas Frusco, TJ Adams, who actually had been having a pretty good season in the Cal A system at this point, but don't really see much of a chance for him to make it to the big leagues unless he really develops well. We also sent them Juan Guerrero, who was a quad A type player, and Albert Fabian and Johan Lopez, who are also, again, a lot of quad A players. I think Juan Flores being the only person that I kind of thought might be something important, but we kept getting a bunch of trade offers for Juan Flores, and we just thought that maybe we'd be able to get something more out of it. And again, Justin Martinez being just one of the better relief pitchers in the game. And even though he's on his final year of his 1-year extended contract, I don't know if we'll keep him or not. It's just a good thing for our bullpen. This helps Will Vest be able just to breathe more easily. So our pitching staff still has Bieber and Gray, Hampton, Rodriguez, and Hernandez. It's been an interesting season. We're expecting Giolito to come back before we have to force LMAO Hernandez to actually start a baseball game. Our bullpen is still mostly spearheaded by Vest, who has had a phenomenal season as our closer. He's on pace for a 2-WAR season, 34 saves, 7-7 record, 62 games appeared. He's having a really good season, should be in the All-Star game for us at this point. And now Justin Martinez backs him up. This gives Will Vest just a chance to be able to breathe finally and have some time off. We still have Edgardo Hernandez having an okay-ish season. Tyler Zuber, has been really good as one of our better, more reliable relief pitchers right now. Jose Leclerc's having a fallback season. Unfortunately, he's not doing very well. Probably will not be expecting to have his contract extended after next season at this point. Jackson Cox has been pretty good. I actually think he's been doing really well for us at this point. He's got that sub-4 ERA. Might be called upon to make a start here in a couple days if we have to against Boston, while Giolito does some rehabbing down in AAA. But otherwise, Hansel Rincon has at least been able to just eat some innings, so it just doesn't feel like it's been solid. We're still having a lot of growing pains, is how I'll put it. But we've got a huge amount of fan interest. We got $23 million available, which meant we could offer all of our prospects contracts this year. So we didn't miss out on any of our draftees. So let's go ahead and work through all of our draftees at this point and who we were able to acquire. This is our number one, or our first round overall selection. We were, again, pick number 27. So again, this is going to be way less quality than what we're used to seeing out of our top 10 picks or top 12 picks. So Dennis Carl is going to be our first round selection. This is pretty good. Like, this is somebody who I really think will be able to, try out as a starting pitcher. And if all else fails, he could be a bullpen arm. We really liked this stuff. We like the 4-pitch combination, like the control, the movement we can work on. That's not a problem for us. The stamina is good. The hold runners is good. It should be a good option for us, and we kind of wanted another pitcher to start getting into the system. Age of 18, he's a high schooler, 3-year high schooler, so a little bit more development than some of the high schoolers out there, but also still in need of a lot of that development at this point. Second round selection was going to be a bunch of bats. So from here on out, we kind of did a lot more of the hitting side of things. We kind of wanted some outfielders, some infielders. So we got Sean Cavins here as our second round selection. This is going to be a corner outfielder. Pretty decent contact bat, not quite that good on the eye, but 2-year high schooler, based out of, I believe, California. Yeah, out of the LA area. And 3.5 stars is not bad for a second round selection, especially when you're pick number 64. This is not serpentine. We are doing a straight draft. So you go from pick 27 to 64. It's just hard to find any good quality at the 64th round that isn't just a diamond in the rough. And we're hoping that Cavins is going to be able to do that. Enrique Martinez was our third round selection. He's picked number 96. Kind of a similar style of player here, or again, another outfielder, 3 years out of high school, though, at this point, from New York. And this is going to be an interesting corner outfield pick. He's got some really good personality. We like that a lot. We like the contact, a little bit more power out of him. Definitely going to be more of a left fielder than a right fielder. So probably the difference between the two of them is that we're expecting Cavens to be probably a little bit more towards. I mean, he's probably also going to be technically a left fielder as well, but a little bit more about the contact for Cavens, and then a little bit more about the power and maybe less about the speed for Enrique Martinez here. Fourth round selection was Justin Novar, another outfielder selection. So we basically tripled up on all of these outfield pickups here. 3.5 stars. Again, 2-year high schooler out of this time, I believe that's Indiana, and really good contact, some decent power, okay on the speed, much better on the defense. Probably will be a right fielder. Could potentially develop into a center fielder if he gets a little bit more of that range up there as well. But Justin Novar, definitely another person we were very happy to be able to get at the round number 4. That's a pretty good spot for a 3.5-star prospect. And then we managed to somehow find Josh Harvey here in the 5th round. I know the contacts were really bad. We got to work on that. But the defense was just enough for us to take a shot on this kid. He's 3.5 stars, a catcher out of 1 year in high school, out of the New York area at this point. And sorry, the New York State. It's North Hempstead, basically. But that power was just too much for us to pass on. If we can even keep most of that together, this is a pretty decent prospect and something we'd be interested in as like maybe a backup catcher, basically. We doubled up on the catchers in the 6th round. We went ahead and picked another one. This time we get down to 3 stars for this catcher right here, but a little bit better on the defense, a little bit better on the balanced offense with a much better contact profile. So if the power contact or the power option doesn't work with Harvey, it will be better with Andrew Harris. So Harris goes in the 6th round. He's our pickup there. Another catcher, another high school pickup here in the 6th round. And continuing on with the catchers out of high school, we went ahead and picked up Frank Faulkner. Now, this one I might consider more of a DH. We might use him someplace else. The 38 defensive catcher is a bit harder to stomach here, but the bat's still pretty good. I still liked it a lot, and we just kind of wanted to start filling up our catching positions as well. The durable on the injury proneness was also kind of something I wanted to see more of as well. Just want to make sure that our prospects coming in are actually going to be able to survive and do a good job in our development system, basically. So Faulkner, another person that we're interested in seeing how he does. Maybe it'll be a good option for us to develop him. If we can get a little bit of that avoid K up, I think he'd be pretty good. Aaron Eckhart then got drafted in the 8th round. He's going to be an interesting corner outfield pickup. Pretty decently balanced bat for a 3-year high schooler out of California. That's going to be Parksdale area. So interesting pickup here. He went in the 8th round. We went ahead and already signed him, I believe, as well. I think we're just waiting to hear back. And I think we got everybody to sign at this point, actually. So we're pretty happy about that. All of our prospects have been basically given offers, and we expect them all to sign. Another good, interesting outfield prospect here in Aaron Eckhart going in the 8th round. We finally went back to pitchers here in the 9th round. We went ahead and got this person. We expect them to be a bullpen arm down the road, however. A 3-pitch, really good 3-pitch starting pitcher. But this is going to be a left-handed, probably bullpen arm down the road. The control and movement are both susceptible to some really bad situations, but we like the personality. We like the results we saw in his high school seasons, even though it may not be that great in terms of competition level. But we really think that if we can develop that stuff to get it up to as high as possible, this would be a pretty interesting bullpen arm if we can develop a little bit more of that control, not the movement. There's a chance. There's a chance at this point. And once you get to the 9th round and beyond, it's just you're looking for diamonds in the rough, people you think you can develop. They might have a weakness or two. You're really just depends on the depth of the draft class at this point, and you just want to be able to find the best person that you can and the people that you think and have confidence that you can develop at this point. Cody Harrison is the next one. We wanted a little bit more on the movement and control. We wanted someone who could actually be a starter, so we picked up him instead. We still need to develop that fastball a little bit. Otherwise, he is a bullpen arm for life. But Corey Harrison, I think, is going to be a bit more of an interesting option. I think he's a little bit more balanced in regards to his stuff than Eric Dubiel is. And even though his personality isn't as good, we thought we might have a better chance with being able just to develop him as a starting pitcher. Michel Boudet, I believe, Canadian at this point, 2.5-star third base shortstop prospect, probably going to be a playing a third base situation for us. He got signed in the 11th round. Interesting bat, not too bad on the defense. We're going to see if we can develop a little bit of power. That'd be great to complement that really good contact ability. If he's going to play third base, he probably needs to get that power up there. But he's 18 years of age, 180 pounds. He can develop a little of that power. He's got a durable in the injury proneness, so he can go for some stuff, try to work on some stuff at this point in the development stages. And if he shows some positive signs, we'll probably put him in the player development lab and see if we can push it even further. Otherwise, it's just a potential. And again, that's what you're looking for right here. You're looking for a couple of diamonds that might be able to develop. You're looking for people like Paul Goldschmidt who get drafted late in rounds and then just are able to figure it out and keep working hard and develop into what you're looking for. Mike Spurlock went in round number 12. This is the second base option for us right about here. We like the bat. We like the speed. Don't like the defense, but we'll see how he does. Durable, again, on that injury proneness. Adrian Brown then went in the 13th round. This is an interesting corner outfielder. Again, you're looking for anything you can find at this point. 2.5 stars is perfectly fine. Switch hitting corner outfielder goes in the 13th round. And then we ended up with the 14th and beyond. That's Garland Goody, another corner outfielder. We had Heinz Dominguez, which was an infielder, basically. We're just, again, looking for prospects that could potentially be diamonds in the rough here. Troy Kenworthy was a bullpen arm finally in the 16th round. He actually is a full-on bullpen pickup here. We're going to try to develop his movement, make that a little bit better, and see what he can do for us in the minors. Jason Bergquist. Is it Burgquist? Burgquist, I believe. Another interesting bullpen arm here. Kind of similar to the last one, but a little bit less on the stuff. Again, just trying to figure out who we can try to go for that's going to give us some interesting options and instantly be able to put him, someplace higher up in the system. So he's already in single A right now, ready to go. And we're going to try to see if we can develop a little bit of that control and movement and maybe get that speed up a little bit faster. And he'd be pretty good at that point. Our last three pickups were, of course, Scott Spangler. I think this was actually someone we were interested in. Was it last year? I think it might have been last year, actually. But regardless, he goes here in the 18th round. I think it's actually somebody else that was a Spangler. I don't think this was someone we had last year. Yeah, this is his first season in the draft, so not the same one. Unfortunately, there's probably a different Spangler I was talking about in one of our earlier videos, I believe, where we had someone named Spangler in our draft vision for what we wanted to pick up at that point. But first base option here for Scott Spangler. The bat's not too bad. Definitely would need a little bit of developments, but if we make him a first baseman, I think he actually is a pretty decent prospect and better than the 2-star rating you see right now as a second baseman. Willie Buenrostro is our 19th round pickup. Unfortunately, he is fragile already on the injury fronts. I don't know why I didn't spot that, but this is just a corner outfielder, basically. I think he'll probably end up being a right fielder. We got to work on that air, unfortunately. He's got a lot to work on, but we like the switch hitting ability. He looked pretty good in our system, and we're looking for diamonds in the rough with a couple of really good spots that we can build off of and not have to worry about. And last but not least, Federico Fuentes was our final pickup in the 2028 first-year amateur draft. At this point, he's another outfielder, corner outfielder probably. Might be able to get a little bit better on that center field ability. He's got a decent personality, so we'll see how it goes. He was actually out of college, JUCO college at this point, so he's a little bit more... I mean, he's not really much more developed than other people, but he had more time to be able to work through some stuff, and we're hopeful that he'll be able to get something around for the minors at this point. Maybe he'll be able to get a little bit of that pop in there, some gap power, some power. If he can develop a little bit of that, complement that decent enough contact ability, and maybe work on the outfield defense a little bit, it's wouldn't be too bad, actually. But to be playable if it was in certain conditions. At least playable in AAA, which is kind of what we're looking at with the idea of like, okay, when we get to these late in the round situations, you're looking for people who might only end up playing in your AA system. But if it's a 3.5-star AA prospect, I know your goal is to get them into the big leagues. Okay, I know that's the goal. But there is a point where you just need to be able to also think about how best to fill up the depth of your minor leagues. Not everybody's going to pan out. Not everybody's going to be able to become as good as you'd like them to be. So sometimes you have to look at the idea of, okay, there's nobody who is a major league quality player left. I need to be thinking about, okay, who do I want in AAA then? Who do I want in AA then? And what do they need? What do they, have weaknesses for? And what can I think about developing in these players? If I go for example, Fuentes here, if we get the power up a little bit more or the gap power, maybe we get some speed increases. Maybe we work on the defense. Suddenly now he's a 4-star, 4.5 star, double A prospect. And then maybe that makes him, more of like a 3-star triple A prospect, which is, technically that's borderline quad A. Once you get to 3 stars for triple A, it's borderline quad A. And you can start to get in some really good situations where someone just takes that development and just keeps moving forwards and forwards and actually gets better and better. And with durable and the injury proneness and a good personality class, these are kind of the people that you want to find are people who are going to work well with your system. They're not going to get injured too often. They're not going to just absolutely tank because of injuries. And they're also going to develop both the intelligence and work ethic that you need for someone who can actually try to develop. Now, again, that does not guarantee development. Our system is proof that just because you have really good staff, really good money in your development budget does not mean that you're going to be able to take, a really good starred prospect. I mean, Fiend is one of those. He's a prime example where, he's a 5-star prospect. We thought he was going to be a 5-star prospect. He had a 68, 62, 77 ratings. He's now 57, 63, 54. So just because, you have the right stuff and you have the right staff and you have the right amount of money, that does not guarantee that they will develop well. So unfortunately, you are at the mercy of OOTP and what they decide to do. So anywho, that whole entire little spiel and tutorial just to say we have offered every single one of our prospects money to be able to sign them. It was actually a very cheap first-year player draft for us for the Colorado Rockies here. I think we only ended up offering like $12 million for all of these people, maybe 13, 14. And it's been a good season so far. We're hopeful that we'll be able to hit playoffs. We're hopeful that we'll be able to keep our third best run scored situation going on at this point in the National League. We like our bullpen still to an extent. We like our starting rotation. We're hoping that Ketel Marte will be able to help us get a little bit of a jump start here in the second half of the regular season. I'm interested in seeing what our all-star game potential might be as well. We do have quite a few people who might be in the all-star game this year compared to last year. I'm also looking forward to seeing who is in the rookie prospect game as well. We might have a full pitching squad in the prospect system for the prospect game this year, which I will definitely let you all know if we actually hit that. But again, we are having a really good season. We have the best batting average in the National League, best base running WAR, best strikeouts for pitchers, pitching WAR. Errors is number 1, zone ratings number 4. So our defense has actually been way better than I expected. We just haven't quite had the home runs. We haven't had the ERA, and the defensive efficiency has been a little bit under what I expected. But we're better than the Arizona Diamondbacks, who I believe won the World Series last year. Yeah, no, 2 years ago, sorry. 2 years removed from the World Series, and the D-backs are looking at probably the worst season I've ever seen them have. 367 winning percentage. This is on pace for 2021-ish, maybe 2014-ish, where they lost 110 games or 98. So we're not the Diamondbacks. It's not gonna be that bad. I mean, we've already had our fair share of bad seasons. We've already had our 94 loss season. So we've already been, getting better. But as you guys can see, we keep chugging forwards with a 30, a .030 winning percentage increase every single season. I hope to hit 600 on that winning percentage this season. That would be amazing. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next video. I think we're good to go at this point. That should get us all caught up to speed on everything that's happened in the regular season so far. We're almost up to the All-Star game. That happens right around the corner, basically 5 days away from that. And I'll let you all know exactly how that goes in the next video. We'll also talk about playoffs because, of course, we're going to be in playoffs unless something disastrously happens, which at that point, that'll make for even better content. So I will see you all in the next video.